Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing with your amazing episode. Unfortunately, our trade of the day didn't play out on Friday. Options X, we had a triple witching yesterday or on Friday. Price action of some of these stocks were just incredible, either to the upside or the downside. So I've got a couple different levels. What I will say is keep in mind that when you're done with options X, or in this case, triple witching, stocks can take a couple days to figure out where they're going to settle. It's almost like an earnings report where you have to wait till like Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday sometimes for the stock prices to settle out, and where investors can say, all right, well, now is a good opportunity to exit this trade on the long side, or take profits, or enter trades that they were out of on the way down on some of these stocks. So the trade of the day is going to be on a stock that was beaten up yesterday, on Friday, but it also had news about Amazon and how Amazon is getting into more deliveries, especially here in Florida. So I'm going to go into that a little bit later, but let's just go ahead and jump into the RSI trade recap. So here's the chart of QS. So QS on Friday, I was anticipating it shooting up to $14.02, and it looked as if price action was going to get up there. I know this was a huge move on QS on Friday. I was looking for another 15% move, but if you look at QBTS or a couple other stocks that were poised to move on Friday, they actually did a pretty good job of heading higher. QS, on the other hand, didn't. Let's go ahead and go to the intraday chart and show you what I was seeing. If you go to the 19th, this price action right here was pretty good. The relative strength index was pretty good on this chart. And then the price action never broke low pivots, indicating that there's still upward momentum in this particular chart. So $14.02 still is a good resistance level on QS. And again, this would be more of a day trade than it is. A day trade, not necessarily a swing trade for this position. So 14.02, I still like that for a short if we can get there within the first hour and a half. So by 11 o'clock, if it's not there, then it would be off of the table. And then I'd be looking for more of a double top for this particular trade setup for a possible short. And that could be more of a swing trade. All right. So QS, again, never hit our upside target, never really got too significant of a pullback. So unfortunately, that was off the table. Now let's go ahead and go into NNE. So NNE, Nano Nuclear Energy. This stock was up dramatically on Friday. Look at the relative strength index. It got really high, got all the way up to 91 or above 90. And then I got a little bit of a pullback, never even dropped to the 50. And then price action just ended up sending this stock higher, got a little bit of a pullback, never broke any low pivots, and then just proceeded to melt up the rest of the day. Look at what happened to the relative strength index. It stayed, it did drop below the 50. However, price action dropped a little bit, but then you had this slow float up. So for me, this indicates that there's still a little bit more buying pressure in NNE. So let's go ahead and go to the daily time frame to see where some additional resistance is. $48.08 is your next level of resistance on NNE. So if it goes up to that level, you can expect, based on the price action yesterday or on Friday, you can expect about a 3 to 5% pullback, if not a little bit more. NNE, if it starts pulling or going through the double top area, I would consider stopping out on a 15-minute closing basis, because that would negate any type of double top action and likely could continue to rip higher. So that's what I would do is $48.08 would be an entry price. Wait for a 3 to 5% pullback. And the stop out would be any close above on a 15-minute closing basis and exit that trade. Just to save yourself. No need in dollar cost averaging into that. DXCM was down on the day. So like I was mentioning, there were some stocks that were up on the day and stocks like DXCM that were down. It was almost down 10% by the end of the closing bell. Look at what happened to price action. After it broke this support level at $70.26, it consolidated and then floated down. Look at the relative strength index. It stayed below the 30. It did get above the 50, but again, look at price action versus what happened to the relative strength index. To me, this signals that there is continual selling pressure in it and could be additional selling pressure today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the daily time frame and look at where there's a potential support. So it did already get support off of this gap fill right here at $67.35. So if price action based on the relative strength index is indicating that there's further downside, I would look for right here about $63.14. If you zoom out, you have this low pivot right here. And so you're going to have a lot of support in this area. So for a day trade, $63.14 is where I'd enter. And because it's not a significant move, I would look for a 2 to 3% bounce off of this level. And then if it got down to double bottom, this would be an additional level right here at basically $57.50. Excuse me. Right here, yeah, $57.50 would be an additional level for a possible day trade, even going into a swing trade. Look at Dexcom, right? It's down below the 30. There is continued selling pressure, and so as soon as it drops a little bit more into some support, then I would consider going long for a swing trade. XRP, a lot of the altcoin markets, crypto markets are kind of getting a little bit of a pullback. XRP is starting to drop now that it's getting below the 50 on the daily time frame on the relative strength index. This is indicating that there are actually more sellers stepping into this altcoin rather than buyers. And so for me, this actually favors a move to the downside. I would look for a support level at $2.58, and then ultimately this upsloping trend line that connects a couple different pivot lows. So you've got this red bar candle right here, right about $1, and a secondary hit at $1.60. Third hit here at $1.95. So if and when price action gets in here, this is where I would likely pick XRP up for a long trade. Now, if it heads up higher, $3.55 is where I'd look to short it. That would probably put the RSI well above the 70, and so that would indicate an overbought position. All right, so we did have a question on STUB. So let's go into what I look at on STUB. Anytime that I mention any type of stock, I look at the relative strength index based on support and resistance, right? I'm never going into a stock saying, all right, well, there's no support and resistance. Let's just go ahead and get into this anyways. No, you have to have support and resistance. This just gives you an indication of where price action is likely to go to, and then you can get a pullback. But without that resistance level, there's no indication of any pullback. Or on the other side, if there's no support, you have no indication of where it's likely to bounce. So what happened to Instacart? Excuse me, STUB. There is no price action. So here's what happened, right? So StubHub opened up at $25.36. It does look like it got a little bit of a bid, but now it's continuing to sell off. But there is no support. There's no resistance. There's no continual buying pressure. There's selling pressure. So if it heads higher, we have some resistance levels at least, but those are only temporary. Those are only small support and resistance levels, or excuse me, in this case, resistance levels, because we only have one data point to go by. Well, what I look for is multiple data points whenever I'm looking at support and resistance, but there's none. And it takes at least 14 days based on my settings for there to be any kind of relative strength index. And so as you can see, there's none right now. So the RSI is actually not in play. So for me, I would stay away from StubHub. Hands down, wouldn't touch this thing. I wouldn't put any money into it just because I don't have any information on it. Instacart. Now, let's go ahead and go into the RSI trade of the day. So I was mentioning that Amazon is getting into more deliveries and stuff like that. So Instacart is getting hit on the back of that news. I think they're starting up in Florida. So if you go to the daily time frame on Instacart, look at what happened on Friday. So you had this little bit of a dip and then this nice bid, but then this continual sell-off. You put in this nice bear flag. The relative strength index never got above the 70, indicating that it's overbought. Usually what I look for is the RSI to get above 70, but the price action did continue higher as well. That never happened. Price action headed lower. The relative strength index headed lower. And then towards the end of the day, we just had this basic neutral price action. So for me, this indicates that there's continued selling pressure. So going to the daily time frame, you have this beautiful gap fill right here. And this is going to be my RSI trade of the day. Okay. Basically, it pierced $40 on CART. So $39.86 is my long position on CART. And based on the fact that it's not down significantly or wouldn't be down significantly, I would look for about a 2 to 3% bounce off of this level. It's not oversold enough for this to be a swing trade. I would need it to drop even more. However, this gap fill is going to be pretty significant. So again, 2 to 3% is my upside target if we can get filled. Again, $39.86 on CART. Any stop out on a 10-minute or a 15-minute closing basis below that level, and I'd stop out of that trade. Awesome. All right. So there's a little bit of information for you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this. Every day the market is open, giving you guys a recap of what happened yesterday and where likely price action is to head today. And that's what I do for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned. Gareth Soloway is my trading game plan is going to be live in less than 3 minutes. You guys don't want to miss that. You guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Hey guys, Lawton here with Verified Investing, back with another video from Kinesis. Thank you so much to Kinesis for sponsoring this video. So going onto the homepage, you can see that I'm logged in to Kinesis.money, and I want to highlight something I really think is cool. You guys know that I'm a trader, a pro trader here at Verified Investing. And did you know Kinesis gives you another way to trade? That's right. You're able to directly trade on the Kinesis platform and earn physical gold and silver while doing so. You can see here their trading platform and their charting platform is actually integrated with TradingView. That means the same charts that I'm used to using, that Gareth is used to using, that all of us here at Verified Investing are totally accessible for you to use. So this is a seamless transition if you want to chart on here. You can even see the order books and the history, right? So if I want to put in a trade, I can put in the price in USD or the amount in KAU as one of their pairings. I can set a limit order, stop limit, trailing stop, whatever I want here. And I can do good till cancel or fill or kill or whatever else I need. Additionally, I can see all of my orders down here. Going on the left side, I can see all the different pairings that Kinesis has on their exchange, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Really, really cool. So not only is it a platform that lets you earn money and earn physical gold for doing anything. If you're trading cryptocurrency anyways, Kinesis could be an option for you as well. Kinesis is really cool, and there's way too much just to talk about in one video. But if you want to learn more about Kinesis, go ahead and check them out in the link in the description. Thank you so much to Kinesis for sponsoring this video. I'll see you guys next time.